The hall was cold, not just in temperature, but in feeling. Captain Jae-sung Park stood alone, surrounded by beings that looked nothing like humans. Their bodies shimmered, twisted, and glowed in ways that made him feel small. But he knew something they didn't. The Galactic Council chamber was a massive round room with floating platforms. Each platform held a representative from a different alien race. The Vortex delegates looked like living crystals, their bodies reflecting light in sharp, angular patterns. The Lithrians appeared as smooth, dark silicon statues, their surface changing colors with each movement. The Nexians were barely visible, more like waves of energy than solid beings. And then there was Jae-sung, a simple human, dressed in a crisp military uniform that seemed plain compared to the alien representatives. "Humanity requests a hearing," he said, his voice steady. The crystal-like Vortex representative moved first. Its body clinked and shifted, creating a sound like breaking glass. "Another request. Your species has already been deemed ineffective. Your technology is primitive. Your military is weak." Jae-sung said nothing. He had heard these words before. Every meeting, every discussion. The aliens saw humans as the smallest, least important species in the galactic community. Admiral Hyun Ki-lee watched from a side chamber. He had selected Jae-sung for this moment carefully. The young captain had something special, a calm that didn't break under pressure. Where other humans might have argued or become angry, Jae-sung remained cool. "We have a proposal," Jae-sung said simply. The Lithrian representative's silicon body rippled with what might have been annoyance. "Another proposal. Your last 12 proposals were rejected. What makes this one different?" Jae-sung pressed a small button on his wrist. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed something unexpected, a wolf. But not just any wolf. This was different. Muscles that seemed too perfect. Eyes that looked almost intelligent. Whispers erupted across the alien platforms. Wolves were known to them. A primitive Earth species. Predators. Pack animals. But nothing more. "This is not just a wolf," Jae-sung said. "This is our answer." Dr. Ilara Kim, standing just behind him, allowed herself a small smile. Months of secret research, years of genetic engineering, countless failed experiments. And now, this moment. The Nexian representative, a beam of pure energy, pulsed with curiosity. Its form shifted, creating tendrils of light that reached toward the holographic image. "Explain," it said, the words seeming to float through the air. Jae-sung took a deep breath. "Humanity has been underestimated. We know this. We have heard your words. Primitive, weak, ineffective." Each word was spoken clearly, without emotion. "But we have been working on something that will change everything." The holographic wolf blinked. Its muscles seemed to ripple even in the static image. Something about it was different. Not just an animal. Something more. Admiral Lee watched carefully. He knew what was coming. He had approved the project, despite initial massive reservations. The risks had been enormous. The potential rewards, even larger. "We are not asking for your approval," Jae-sung continued. "We are telling you that things are about to change." The crystal vortex representative's body began to shake, a sign of anger among its species. "You dare to?" "Yes," Jae-sung interrupted. "We dare." The chamber went silent. Alien representatives looked at each other. Something was different. This human was not begging. He was announcing. Dr. Ilara Kim stepped forward, her hand touching a small device. The holographic wolf seemed to look directly at the assembled council. Its eyes were not just animal eyes. They were calculating. "Ladies and gentlemen of the Galactic Council," she said, her voice calm, "meet the future of warfare." The wolf blinked, and everything was about to change. The research facility was hidden. Not just hidden, but buried deep beneath the mountains of what used to be South Korea. Dr. Ilara Kim walked through long white hallways that seemed to stretch forever. Each step echoed. Each step meant something. Behind thick glass walls, something was moving. Something that wasn't quite a wolf. Not anymore. "System check," she said softly into her communication device. A computer voice responded immediately. "Genetic stability, 98.7%. Neural link. Active. Cognitive response. Optimal." The first wolf was named Bike. Not a name chosen by random, but carefully selected. It meant white in Korean, and white was what he was not. Dark fur. Muscles that looked more like steel cables than animal tissue. Eyes that seemed to look through walls. Dr. Kim stopped at a massive reinforced door. This was where the real work happened, where humanity's greatest secret was being built. 2 years ago, the project had started as a crazy idea, just another attempt to prove human worth in a galaxy that saw them as nothing more than background noise. But now it was something else. The door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, 3 wolves stood perfectly still, not sitting, not moving, standing, like soldiers waiting for a command. Their bodies were different from any wolf that had ever existed on Earth. Genetic modifications had changed everything. Each wolf had a small device attached at the base of its skull, a neural link. But it was more than just a device. It was a bridge, a connection that went deeper than technology, deeper than science. "Bake," Dr. Kim said. Demonstration. The lead wolf, the one named Bak, turned. Its movement was not like an animal. It was calculated, precise. A holographic target appeared in the center of the room. Without a sound, without a signal anyone could see, the 3 wolves moved. They were not hunting. They were solving a problem. One wolf circled left. Another moved right. Bak stayed center. They approached the target from 3 different angles, perfectly synchronized. No communication needed. No words, just understanding. Admiral Hyun Ki-lee watched from another room. His face was hard. Military through and through. He had seen many things in his long career, but this was different. "How much can they understand?" he asked Dr. Kim through the communication system. She didn't look away from the wolves. "More than you can imagine." The wolves completed their simulation. The holographic target was neutralized in exactly 7.3 seconds. Not a moment more, not a moment less. "They're not just enhanced animals," Dr. Kim continued. "They're something new, a hybrid, part animal, part machine, part something we're still trying to understand." The neural link was the key. It wasn't just a piece of technology. It was a two-way connection. The wolves could understand complex human commands. But more than that, they could anticipate. They could think ahead. Bake looked up, directly at the camera, as if he knew exactly who was watching. "The human brain," Dr. Kim explained to Admiral Lee, "works on pattern recognition. So does a wolf's brain. But our neural link amplifies that, multiplies it, connects it." Another test began. This time, more complex. A simulation of a battlefield. Obstacles, multiple targets, changing conditions. The wolves moved like liquid, like thought made physical. No wasted movement, no unnecessary action. "We're not just creating a weapon," Dr. Kim said softly. "We're creating a partnership." Bak's eyes never left the simulation. Always watching, always learning. The future was watching back, and it had sharp teeth. The border of Lithrian space was quiet, too quiet. Lieutenant Wu Jin Kang sat in the cockpit of his small scout ship. His hand rested on Bak's head. The wolf was not just a companion. He was a partner, a living, breathing piece of technology that understood more than most humans could imagine. "Scan," Wu Jin said softly. Bak's eyes changed, not just moved. Change. The neural link activated, turning the wolf's natural vision into something more. Infrared, thermal, quantum detection. All at once, 3 Lithrian scout ships appeared on the edge of their sensor range. They were hunting, looking for weakness. Typical Lithrian tactics: probe, find a gap, then strike hard. They didn't know about Bek. The Lithrians were silicon-based life forms. They looked like living statues made of dark, smooth rock. Their ships reflected this design: angular, hard, with no give, no flexibility. Wu Jin felt Bek tense, not from fear, from preparation. Pattern, Wu Jin asked. Bek's response came not in words, but in a direct neural link. Images, calculations, predicted movement paths. The wolf's brain was processing information faster than any computer. The Lithrian ships moved. They thought they were being subtle, but Bek saw everything. They'll strike from the right. Bek's neural link communicated. Not words, pure information. Wu Jin's hands moved on the ship's controls, not because he was told, but because he understood. The human-wolf link was more than technology. It was instinct, partnership. The first Lithrian missile came exactly where Bek predicted. Wu Jin's ship moved, not just moved, danced. A perfect, calculated escape that seemed impossible. The Lithrian ships were confused. Their computer systems tried to calculate, predict, but they couldn't. Bek was predicting. Wu Jin was executing. 2 more missiles, 2 more perfect dodges. This was not just combat. This was art. The Lithrian ships started to panic. Their rigid, logical systems couldn't understand what was happening. A small human ship, a wolf, moving in ways that broke all known combat algorithms. Wu Jin spoke. Target their communication array. Bek's response was immediate. A set of coordinates. A perfect shot. The human ship's weapons were nothing special. Standard issue. What made them special was the targeting. One shot. The Lithrian communication array exploded. Silence. Return to base, Wu Jin said. The 3 Lithrian ships were now blind, confused, floating. No casualties, no direct combat. Just pure strategy. Back at the human base, Admiral Hyun Ki-Lee watched the mission recording. His face did not change, but something moved in his eyes. Dr. Ilara Kim stood next to him. First test, she said. Complete success. The Admiral said nothing. He didn't need to. The recording showed something the Lithrians would never understand. This was not just a weapon. This was a new way of thinking about warfare. Somewhere in the ship, Bek looked out a window. His eyes were not animal eyes anymore. They were the eyes of something new. Something that would change everything. The Vortex communication network was buzzing. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Reports came in from different sectors, not just one report. Many reports, all saying the same thing. Something was changing in human military tactics. On the communication deck of a Vortex battle cruiser, 3 crystal-like beings studied the incoming data. Their bodies shifted and clinked, reflecting light in sharp, angry patterns. Explain, the lead commander said. The data showed something impossible. Human ships moving in ways that broke all known combat rules. Predictions that shouldn't be possible. Attacks that came from nowhere. And something else. The wolves. Word was spreading. Slowly at first, then faster. Humans had something new. Something that made other species feel something they had never felt before. Fear. In the training facility, Lieutenant Wu Jin Kang watched a new group of human wolf units train. 12 pairs, 12 humans, 12 wolves, but not just any wolves. Bek walked between them, watching, evaluating. The training simulation was brutal. Multiple enemy targets, changing conditions, no clear path to victory. The human-wolf pairs moved, not like soldiers, not like animals. Like something else. One pair approached a difficult section. Most military units would stop, analyze, plan. These pairs, they moved through. Instant communication. No words needed. A wolf named Sori detected a hidden target before any human sensor could. Her human partner, Captain Minho, adjusted immediately. No delay, no question. This was different. Dr. Ilara Kim watched from another room. She was recording everything. Every movement. Every decision. The data was changing everything they knew about combat. "It's more than training," she said to Admiral Lee. "It's a new language of warfare." The Admiral said nothing. He just watched. In another part of the galaxy, Lithrian military leaders were having an emergency meeting. Their silicon bodies shifted uneasily. Something was wrong with their intelligence reports. "The humans," one said, "are not what we thought." The reports showed something strange. In recent battles, human units were not just fighting. They were thinking ahead, predicting, moving in ways that broke all known military algorithms. And the wolves. Always the wolves. Rumors spread. Some said the wolves were not just trained animals. Some said they were something else. Part machine. Part something no one could understand. Bake walked through the training facility. The other wolves moved when he moved, not because of a command, because of understanding. "This is not about fighting," Wu Jin said to a group of new recruits. "This is about thinking differently." Each human wolf pair was unique. Each had its own way of working. But they all shared one thing: a connection that went deeper than technology. A vortex communication intercepted a human military transmission. It made no sense at first. Then it became clear. The humans were not just preparing for war. They were rewriting how war was fought. One of the vortex analysts tried to calculate the probability of the human tactics. The computer broke. Twice. Something was changing. And no one was ready. Bake looked out a window. His eyes were not just watching. They were calculating the future. Dr. Ilara Kim stared at the computer screen. Something was happening. Something big. The neural link between humans and wolves was changing. Not just working. Evolving. In the research lab, 3 wolves sat perfectly still. Bake was in the center. His eyes were not just looking. They were seeing something else. Something deeper. "Run test sequence," Dr. Kim said. A computer voice responded. "Initiating neural compatibility test." The first test was simple, or it should have been, a series of complex problem-solving challenges. The kind of test that would break most computer systems. The wolves solved it in 3.2 seconds. But that wasn't the strange part. Back's brain was sending signals that made no sense. Not animal signals. Not human signals. Something new. Dr. Kim zoomed in on the brain scan. Lines of communication were forming. Not just between the wolf's brain and the neural link, between the wolves themselves. "Admiral," she called into her communication device. "You need to see this." Admiral Hun Kaylee arrived quickly. His face was always serious. Today, it was something more. "The neural link is doing more than we planned," Dr. Kim explained. "It's creating a network, a living network." The computer showed multiple brain scans. The wolves were thinking together, not just responding to commands, actually thinking, sharing information faster than any computer could process. "How is this possible?" the Admiral asked. Dr. Kim's hands moved quickly across the computer screen. "We didn't just enhance their brains, we created something new, a symbiotic system." One of the younger wolves, named Sori, tilted her head. She looked at Buck. No words were spoken, but something was communicated. The computer tried to track the communication. Failed. "The connection goes beyond technology," Dr. Kim said. "It's like they're becoming one system, one thinking unit." Admiral Lee watched carefully. Military leaders always looked for advantages. This was more than an advantage. This was a complete change in how living systems could work together. Another test began. This time, more complex. The wolves were given a series of impossible problems. Problems that would take human scientists weeks to solve. They solved them in minutes. But that wasn't the most interesting part. The wolves were learning. not just solving, learning. Each problem made them smarter. Each challenge changed how they thought. They're evolving, Dr. Kim whispered. The neural link was doing something unexpected. It wasn't just connecting human and wolf. It was creating a new form of intelligence. Outside the lab, the world kept moving. Alien races continued their wars, their conflicts, their old ways of thinking. They had no idea what was coming. Bake looked up, directly at the camera. His eyes were different now. Not just wolf eyes, not just enhanced eyes. The eyes of something new. Dr. Kim's computer suddenly showed something strange. The wolf's brain patterns were now so complex that normal tracking systems couldn't follow. "We're not just creating soldiers," she said to the admiral. "We're creating a new kind of life." The admiral said nothing, but something changed in his eyes. The future was looking back at them, and it was alive. The Vortex fleet appeared suddenly. Massive crystal ships that looked like giant, sharp diamonds against the darkness of space. Lieutenant Wu Jin Kang knew this was different. This was not just another battle. This was humanity's last stand. 12 human wolf units stood ready. Bake was at the center. His eyes were not just watching. They were calculating. The Vortex attack was massive. 300 ships. Weapons that could destroy entire planets. They thought humans were weak. They were about to learn something else. Incoming. Bak's neural link communicated. Not words. Pure information. Wu Jin's hands moved on the ship's controls, not because he was told, because he understood. The first wave of Vortex missiles came. Fast, deadly, designed to destroy everything in their path. The human wolf units moved. Not just moved. Danced. Each unit predicted. Each unit responded, not as separate things, as one thing. A wolf named Sori detected a hidden attack vector before any human sensor could. Her partner, Captain Minho, adjusted immediately. No delay. No question. The Vortex commanders watched in shock. Their computer systems were breaking, failing to predict, failing to understand. How could such a small force move like this? Bak's neural network was doing something impossible. He was not just tracking enemy ships. He was predicting their entire strategy. Milliseconds before they knew what they would do. One human wolf unit took out 3 Vortex ships. Then 5. Then 10. The Vortex fleet began to panic. Their perfect, logical systems were failing. "Impossible," their lead commander said. His crystal body shook with confusion. Wu Jin spoke softly. "Target their main communication hub." Bak's response was instant. A set of coordinates. A perfect shot. The human ships were nothing special. Standard issue. What made them special was the targeting. One shot. The Vortex communication network exploded. Silence. 12 human wolf units were doing what 300 Vortex ships could not. Admiral Hyun Kei watched from the command center. His face did not change, but something moved in his eyes. Dr. Ilara Kim stood next to him. "They're more than we planned," she said. The battle was not just about fighting. It was about thinking differently. The Vortex ships tried to regroup, tried to find a pattern, but there was no pattern. Each human wolf unit moved like liquid, like thought made physical. Bak's neural network was connecting, sharing, thinking faster than any computer. One by one, Vortex ships began to fall. Not destroyed, neutralized, completely shut down. No massive explosions, no dramatic destruction, just complete, total defeat. The Vortex commander's last transmission was simple. "What are they?" No answer came. As the battle ended, something changed. The 12 human wolf units had done what no one thought possible. They had changed everything. Bake looked out into space. His eyes were not just looking. They were calculating the future. And the future looked different now. The Galactic Council chamber was different now. The silence was heavy. Something had changed. 12 chairs sat in the center of the room. Not normal chairs, special chairs, one for each human wolf unit that had changed everything. Captain Jae-sung Park stood at the front. Buck sat next to him. Not like a pet, like a partner. The Lithrian representatives looked nervous. Their silicon bodies shifted uncomfortably. The Vortex delegates were quiet. No more crystal-like shimmering, just silence. Explain, the Nexian representative said. Its energy form pulsed with a mix of fear and curiosity. Jae-sung didn't smile. He didn't need to. The battle recordings played. Not just clips, full recordings, every moment of the Vortex defeat. 12 human wolf units had destroyed 300 advanced enemy ships. No massive explosions, no huge weapons, just pure strategy, pure thinking. The Lithrian lead representative spoke first. How? Dr. Ilara Kim stepped forward. She carried a small device. But it was more than a device. It was proof of everything. We did not create weapons, she said. We created a new way of thinking. The neural link technology was explained, not in complex terms, in simple words that anyone could understand. Humans had found a way to connect, not just between humans and wolves, between thinking systems, living systems. The Vortex delegates looked at the recordings again. Their computer systems had failed. These human wolf units had done something impossible. Admiral Hyun Ki-lee stood in the background. He didn't need to speak. The evidence was clear. One wolf named Sori walked forward. The council members watched. No one moved. Wolves were not just animals anymore. They were something else. We are offering a new way, Jae-sung said. Not just for war. For understanding. The recordings showed more than battle. They showed communication, connection, something deeper than any technology. The Nexian representative's energy form changed, shifted, became something else. You have changed everything, it said. Bake looked at the council. His eyes were not just animal eyes. They were eyes that had seen something new. The Lithrian representatives discussed quickly. Their silicon bodies moved fast. Something was happening. Proposal, one said finally. The whole room waited. Humans had been nothing before. Now they were something else. Dr. Kim explained the neural link further. How it worked. How it connected. How it was more than just a military tool. We are not just creating soldiers, she said. We are creating understanding. The wolf units in the room moved. Not separately. Together. Like one thinking system. The Galactic Council had seen many things, but never this. Jae-sung touched Bak's head. No words needed, just connection. The Vortex lead representative finally spoke. We want to understand. Those 4 words changed everything. Humans were no longer the weakest species. They were something new. Bake looked around the room. His eyes saw more than anyone could understand. The future was looking back. And it was alive. Lieutenant Wu Jin Kang sat alone in his quarters. Bake was not just sitting next to him. Bake was part of him. The neural link was more than technology now. It was something else. Something alive. Wu Jin remembered his first day with Bake. Not as a soldier, but as a partner. Most people thought it was about fighting. They were wrong. It was about understanding. Bake's eyes were not just watching. They were feeling, thinking, connecting. In the training facility, other human wolf pairs showed something special. It was not just about combat. It was about something deeper. Captain Minho and his wolf Sori moved together in the training room. Not like a human and an animal. Like 2 parts of one thing. Dr. Ilara Kim watched. She was recording everything. But this was more than data. They're not just connected, she said to Admiral Lee. They're becoming something new. The neural link did more than share information. It shared feelings, thoughts, memories. Bak knew Wu Jin's childhood memories. Wu Jin understood Bak's wolf instincts. Not just understood, felt them. One wolf named Ryu saved his human partner from a training accident, not because of a command, because of connection. The bond was changing everything. Human soldiers who worked with wolves were different. They thought differently, moved differently, understood the world in a new way. In the research lab, Dr. Kim discovered something strange. The neural link was doing more than anyone planned. The wolves were not just getting smarter. They were developing something like emotions, something like understanding. They could feel Wu Jin's stress. Wu Jin could sense Bak's alertness, not through technology, through something deeper. "We're creating more than a weapon," Dr. Kim said. "We're creating a new kind of life." The other alien races watched. They did not understand. How could two different species become one thinking system? Sori, the wolf, once saved her partner from a mental breakdown. Not with words, with feeling, with connection. The neural link went deeper than anyone knew. Some human wolf pairs could finish each other's thoughts, could sense danger before it happened, could understand each other without a single word. It was not just about fighting anymore. It was about becoming something new. Wu Jin looked at Bak. Bak looked back. No words needed. They were more than partners now. They were family. The research continued. Each day, the connection grew stronger. Each moment, they understood more. Dr. Kim's notes were full of wonder. "We thought we were creating soldiers," she wrote. "We were creating something else." The wolves were not losing their wolf nature. The humans were not becoming something less human. They were becoming something more. Bake put his head on Wu Jin's lap. Not as a pet, as a partner. The future was looking different now. And it was alive. Watching, feeling, understanding. The stars looked different now. Captain Jae-sung Park stood on the observation deck of the human flagship. Bak sat next to him. Not as a soldier, not as a weapon, as a partner. Everything had changed. The Galactic Council was different now. Humans were no longer the smallest voice. They were leaders, innovators, creators of something new. Dr. Ilara Kim's research had changed everything. The neural link was more than a military project now. It was a bridge between species, between ways of thinking. Other alien races watched. They wanted to understand. The Lithrian scientists studied the human-wolf connection. The Vortex researchers tried to copy the technology. The Nexian energy beings tried to feel the bond. But they couldn't. This was something special, something unique. 12 original human-wolf units had become hundreds, then thousands. Each pair was different, each connection unique. Wu Jin Kang walked into the room. Sori, another wolf, was with him. The neural link had spread, not just in military units, in research, in exploration, in understanding. "We are not just fighters," Jae-sung said to the gathered leaders. "We are explorers." The wolf units could do more than fight. They could communicate in ways no one understood. They could solve problems that broke computer systems. They could feel things that machines could not. Admiral Hyun Ki-lee watched proudly. What started as a crazy idea had changed everything. Bake looked out at the stars. His eyes saw more than anyone could understand. The neural link was evolving, not just between humans and wolves, between different ways of thinking, different ways of understanding the universe. Dr. Kim's latest research showed something amazing. The connection was becoming something new, not just a technology, not just a bond, a new form of life. Other species tried to understand. They could not. Humans had found something special, a way of connecting that went beyond words, beyond technology, beyond species. The original 12 wolf units were legends now. Every young human and wolf wanted to be like them. Sori saved a research station from a massive solar storm, not with weapons, with understanding, with connection. The Galactic Council meetings were different now. Humans sat at the center. Wolves sat next to them, not as pets, as partners. "We offer a new way," Jae-sung would say, and everyone would listen. The neural link was more than a discovery. It was a revolution. Baek looked at Jae-sung. Jae-sung looked back. No words needed. They understood each other completely. Other species watched. They were learning. Slowly, the human wolf units explored new planets, solved complex problems, helped different species communicate. They were not just a military project anymore. They were the future. Dr. Kim's final report was simple. "We thought we were creating soldiers," she wrote. "We created something more. We created understanding." The stars looked different now, alive with possibility, alive with hope. Baek stood next to Jae-sung, not as a weapon, not as a tool, as a partner. The future was looking back, and it was alive.